Hey, I've often said without House Right, there would be no leadership pathway. And they are not only a long time client, one of our first that continue with us to this day. I think we're on resident number 14 there. But Matt McKay, the owner, is a donor. He's on the board. He has been so gracious to Leadership Pathway over the years. House Right has a residency program there that's unique. So let me explain it a little bit before we get into today's conversation. They take on people who are thinking about ministry in the production world. So sound, lights, and video. House Right keeps them on the road, keeps them moving at their shop, also in Lexington, 2 weeks a month. And then 2 weeks a month, they're embedded at a local church. And the story you're going to hear today is all about Crossroads out of Cincinnati, which has a campus in Lexington. Gerson Urbina, I remember interviewing him 2.5 years ago. He was this youth pastor, as I recall. He'll tell his own story, but wanted to grow in these things and knew he couldn't do it where he was. And so he stepped down from his full time ministry, moved to Lexington, and run the story forward 2.5 years later. He's now on the team at Crossroads full time in audio, as are many of the residents that have gone through there. So we'll drop links to all of this. I invite you to check it out. Check out House Right, audio, video, lighting, acoustics, design, big churches, small churches all over the country, and check out Crossroads as well. Enjoy this conversation. Well, hey, welcome to Leadership Pathway. I'm Dave. It's great to have you with us today. You're probably watching this because you know this guy, Gerson, or you're really interested in where future leaders are coming from. And this will be a great story for you to hear today with a little twist. It's got a little twist to it that a lot of these residency stories don't have. And so I'm anxious to unpack that. Gerson Urbina, welcome. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Gerson Urbina. I'm here in Lexington. I'm the site audio engineer here, but went through the Leadership Pathway program, and here I am.
Okay, so you're the audio site engineer at what church?
Crossroads Church in Lexington, Kentucky.
Tell us about Crossroads for those that don't know.
Crossroads Church is a church based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and they have different sites, I believe 8 or 9, give or take. And so one of those sites is in Lexington, Kentucky.
Cincinnati's what, 2 hours, 90 minutes north. So not so you're at a
Yeah,
campus of a church where the home base is 2 hours away.
correct.
What's that
Hour and a
like?
half, 2 hours.
Yeah, who's your boss?
Um,
How does this work for people that are like, what is he talking about? I've never heard of this before.
sure. So we have a central team that is based in the at the main campus in Cincinnati, and that's where everything kind of trickles to sites. So I did report to somebody from Central, but now we're kind of changing our structure a little bit, which is always happening. Keeps you on your toes, but yeah. So I'll report to someone here, but then that person then reports to someone to the main campus or main site. Sorry.
Uh, so those of us that have never worked in a place like you're working, the great majority of everybody working at a church will never be at a place larger than 4 or 5 employees. You're working at a place with a few hundred, I think,
Yeah.
was the last I heard. What's it like to have a boss 2 hours away when you're working at a church? Was it awkward? Was it clunky? Or was it fine?
I think I'm lucky because I think our audio team is pretty great. At first, they had some hires that, we all had to kind of get to know each other a little bit, like for me. But I think in the past few months, like we have a group chat together now, and like we actually make time to just talk to each other, pick each other's brains, and I think that creates a lot of cohesiveness. So I think, and my manager is like awesome. So he definitely fosters that community and just that team aspect of um, just audio. So I think I got really lucky with that piece. Yeah.
What's an audio director? Do.
An an audio director just oversees all aspects of audio at each
Right.
site and even at the main site.
Okay.
And so he's overseeing broadcast audio,
Okay.
front of house, in-room audio,
Okay.
all the audio in all the sites, events that have audio, just all things audio.
Um, what do you spend? What's a normal day for Gerson?
Normal day for Gerson, wake up, eat some breakfast, and I make it a priority to go to the gym. And before work. I've kind of tried to go after before. I usually like doing it before, so it's just out of the way. And then after that, come into work, kind of the 9 to 5 deal. And then after that, it's doing whatever I need to do personally, either laundry or run errands or what have you, nerd out in music. Yeah.
Uh, there are people listening to this and they're like, there's no way an audio director at a campus is a full-time job. In fact, most people listening to this are like, this is a full-time job? Tell us, make the case. Tell us how this is a full-time job.
It's a full-time job because the scale at which we put on
Yeah.
our production
Yeah.
as a whole, like our church as a whole, it does require a lot of prep.
Yeah.
It does require a lot of either pulling cable,
Yeah.
either virtual sound checking, setting
Hmm.
up lights. And not only that, but if you're a good teammate, you will also hop in to help either your lighting guy, your
Yeah.
video guy,
Yeah.
just as a team, whatever needs to get done for that week.
Yeah.
Um, it does involve, it does require a lot of time to just
Yeah.
set up.
Sure.
And on top of that, just meetings, making sure
Sure.
as the week goes by that we're doing the thing that we're supposed to do,
Yeah.
and that's coming from the main site, right? Is that okay, we've been given this production, how are we going to pull it off here? And that's
Yeah.
where we get into the weeds of, okay, well, we need this kind of look, we need the audio to sound like this, we need
Yeah.
rehearsal, you know whatever,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Listen, I was just there in Lexington a couple months ago, 8 weeks ago or something, and it was incredible. It sounded incredible. Brian Tome came on the screen from Cincinnati, and I forgot within 15 seconds I was looking at a screen. And so in every way, it's interesting when and I know you're up close to it, you see it every week, and it's easy to begin to believe that that's normal. And then from where I'm embedded all over, I'm at my home church some, but usually on the road. And oh my goodness, unbelievable what you guys are doing. But it wasn't always that way. And so I want to go back. I remember interviewing you. I remember let me see if I can remember. I didn't look at the notes. You were already in ministry at a church up in New England-ish. Was it New
Mhm.
Hampshire?
Massachusetts.
Close. Massachusetts. You were in ministry. You were doing, was it youth in tech or what? Just an
That's where I
associate.
started, but I
Okay.
left as a media director.
Media director. You had, okay. And as I recall, Gerson, you were saying, I need to get better. And I know I'm not going to get better where I am. And I'm like, but bro, you're a pastor. You're leading a ministry and you're going to become a resident. Have I got that framed up correctly? That was 2.5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it went. Yeah.
So can you frame that up? Because you're not the only one. We've had a couple of youth pastor types do that. But out of 190 or whatever, there's been this many. It's one hand they're already full time in ministry, and they go into residency to learn something. T-
Sure.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so when I was at that church, I originally got hired on in the family life department. So any ministry that involves from birth all the way to college, that was um, where I was. And then the pandemic hit, and then the needs for tech just, skyrocketed. So I jumped into that. And then after that, that's when I realized, oh, okay, I think this is more my lane. Like I still like doing the people side, but I think God has specifically called people into youth and kids and all that stuff. And so yeah, I was at a church that uh they were definitely supportive of, our calling, whatever it is that God wanted us, to do. And for me, I felt like, oh wow, yeah, I would love to learn more about this. And there uh we kind of we were at a crossroads, the senior leadership and I, and we were they were honest about it. They were like, "Hey, we know you want to learn. We know you want to grow in this, but it's just not going to happen here because, just the ethics of, whatever the church wanted. Didn't really see production as kind of a necessity, like at a larger scale." And I was totally fine with that. And to this day, I'm very appreciative about that honesty, because that's what propelled me to find, okay, how am I gonna get better at this? Because I remember going to my friends' churches and checking out their more advanced systems and just wanting to learn, just wanting to, uh, you know, lay my hands on a console or just figure out, what the thing looked like at a much larger scale. And so that's when I just realized, hey, I think I need to run after this, and I know it's not going to be here, and you know now what? And so that's when I reached out to an ad on Instagram that House Right had in partnership with Leadership Pathway, and the rest is history.
That's cool. The Instagram guy is going to ask me for a raise if he watches this, so I'll definitely keep this away from him. Okay, so you go through the process. You're like, okay, I'll do it. I'll load up everything I own in a car and drive to Lexington, Kentucky.
Hmm.
Am I over? That would be the, if we needed to show it in a movie, that'd be the scene, right? Everything you own, you give away stuff.
Yeah.
You load it in. How old are you at this point?
Oh, I think I was 27, 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you learn at the church in New England that you would not have learned? And I mean,
Mm,
it could be big things up in the cloud. It doesn't have to be specific things. What do
sure.
you think that meant to you in your journey and your walk and who you are, who made you you by going there versus being 20 years old and walking into where you are now? What do you think?
I think it made me appreciate what ministry can look like in a foreign, to me at that time, what it can look like in a foreign place, right? Like, because New England is, I'm originally from North Carolina, and so moving to New England, that was, you know, eye-opening for me. I learned a lot, learned the people, kind of learned the lingo, the language, spent time with New Englanders, learned the sports winning culture up there. I was very spoiled for a good stretch of time. And so it definitely made me appreciate the people side of things. And not saying that I don't focus on that now, but um, because I started out in like family life and just like personable uh, ministry, that really helped. Um, it gave me a framework of, what it's like to deal with people. And looking back at my residency now, was that was a huge benefit because I mean, when you're with House Right and here at Crossroads, you're still dealing with people. And so me having that experience of, you know, just- I'll back up a little bit just to give some context. Going to school for ministry, I went to a Bible college. And so you learn all this theoretical things, the theological terms and the fancy words and the arguments and all this stuff. But you get out into the real world and you quickly realize people don't really care about those fancy terms. They care about how you care for them, how you make them feel, how
Yeah.
approachable you are when
Yeah.
they're going through a hard time in life, when you reach out, like those kinds of things,
Yeah.
right? And so that really helped me develop that. And then when I came here, I mean, it was like sort of like second nature to me. It's just the people side of things.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest learning thing that I took away.
That's very cool. We'll drop links to all this down below, but House Right, explain to us what House Right is for those that don't know.
House Right is a organization that helps churches with their AVL needs. That's audio, visual, lighting,
Okay.
all those technological needs. And so they go to churches all across the country,
Hmm.
just helping churches um, amplify and to, magnify whatever that church is doing in their community from a AVL standpoint.
Okay, so I know a lot of this has changed over the last couple of years, but you walk in the door at House Right, and how long before you were on an airplane or in a van heading somewhere to hang speakers or do something crazy? Was it just like baptism by fire? Or did they do? I was there literally. We're recording February 12th. I was there this week. There were people onboarding this week, and they had like 3 weeks of training, like soldering and all of these, and like a full-time person sitting next to a resident. They were both onboarding. They both were going to onboard and be trained for 3 weeks. I don't think this was happening when you started, as I recall. But what was your first 30 or 60 days like?
It was primarily local. We did have some of the initial training, how to solder, just the basic things, just so that you had some groundwork. So when you went to your first deployment, your first job, you were prepared to a degree, right, to do the basic tasks that they were having you do. And yeah, I remember my first trip. It was somewhere out in Bardstown. I
Okay.
forget the name of the church, but I
Yeah.
definitely remember that week. Uh, First thing I was doing was hanging acoustic panels, and I've never done that before, but I mean, I had fun. It was great.
I've thought about you often as these other people that have taken what feels like a step down so you can go up, right? I'm very much simplifying it, but from full-time associate pastor at a church to resident so you can move forward. And I think about surely there are moments when you were thinking, what have I done? What am I doing? Or your friend or your family was questioning this, or was it like that, or you would say no, it wasn't like that at all. I was just like, I knew exactly what was going on.
Uh, I'll say all three. My family was definitely supportive. I don't have a family right now, so like of my own, and so now was the time to just do this thing where I could travel, I could, start fresh in a new city. So there was that, and then um, yeah, I would say there were many moments where I had those thoughts of like, did I make the right choice? But deep down, I knew the only way from here is kind of up, right? I always had that in the back of my mind, and but that doesn't mean I didn't have moments where it felt like maybe a demotion, or like just, man, I took a step back, or like, what am I doing? But in the back of my mind, I always knew it was going to be worth it. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I
Yeah,
knew, hey, I'm gonna put my head down and just like
yeah,
work, do the thing, learn as much as I can, learn from these amazing people, just
yeah,
get all the training that I can, so that it can turn into something great. I don't know what, but
sure.
yeah.
Let's name some names. Who are the people? So as I understand it, at least on a piece of paper, 2 weeks at House Right, 2 weeks at Crossroads, and you guys kind of go back and forth. Crossroads there in Lexington, House Right's in Lexington. I'm sure it never worked that cleanly because of schedules, but let's just set that aside a minute. Who are the people let's start with Crossroads. Who are the people at Crossroads that someone said something, someone showed you something, you learned, if you said in the 18 months of that residency, these were the game changers, who were they?
People wise, I would say actually former residents. It was Timothy Schloman. I got to give a shout out to him. Jake Stevens, Randy Roberts. He's still here. Great. Um, and some of the guys that are go here, but they're actually with House Right. So I'll get to them when we get
Yeah.
to that. But I would say those were the three people that really um, showed me what they knew. As annoying as I probably was sometimes, just trying to be like, "Hey, what's this? What does this do? Can you show me this again? For the 10th time or whatever."
Yeah.
Um, uh, they showed me a lot of things that I still use to this day. So, yeah.
I mean, the world you came from, technically, to the world you are in now, technically. Can you frame that up a little bit for someone that's listening that's not, they've seen this stuff at their church when they walk in, they glance over and there's a couple guys dressed in black in a booth with a bunch of, but like, what'd you go from to where you are now? How would you describe it?
From residency to
No, no, no. From New England, from everything you
oh,
knew
okay,
audio wise to where
sure.
you are now. Is it a quantum leap? Is it just a little, is it very similar, or how would you frame that?
I would say it's a quantum leap.
Yeah,
Quantum leap. It's significant amount of things I learned that I thought I kind of knew or like understood to a base level, but then when I got drenched in it, it was like, man, this is exactly what I wanted to learn. Because for me, I would like the concerts that I would go to, I would wonder how things worked. Like I knew they looked cool, and I appreciated. I always have appreciated production, the production element in things, but I just never like understood the behind the scenes of how those things worked. And so, um, yeah, from where I was and helping the church up in New England, I mean, looking back on it now, like I knew nothing to the caliber of what I know now. And yeah, big difference.
talk about house right guys. Name some names from over there. Who were the
Oh gosh. Um, Wes Collingsworth, uh, Chris Gilly, uh, and Andy Sloan. Gosh, who else? Um, Jimmy
this,
Bagshaw.
this is like the
I mean,
Grammys where they start naming
yeah,
people and
yeah,
then they leave out their
yeah,
mom or something like that. They leave out
yeah,
someone really important.
yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to not miss anybody, but I mean, I could say all the team at House, right? The people that I would just interact with and
Yeah.
just ask them questions, even the dumb ones or the simple ones. They were always and still are gracious enough to just give me an answer or even just point me in the direction of someone that does know at House
Sure.
Right. So,
I could have prepared you for these questions now that I think about it. Probably smart people would have sent you a list of questions. I'd rather just surprise you. What was the worst? I mean, some of these jobs that House Right gets into, and if you're,
mhm.
anyone who's done a construction project or a remodel project where you never really know. There's a plan and then there's reality, right? What was tell us a some of the tell us a crazy story. What was the worst experience or longest night or don't name
Ooh.
names, don't name churches. Do you have one of those?
Yeah, clear as day. It was, yeah, no names. It was a job where Monday and Tuesday went great. They were normal days, but then after Wednesday, I mean, it just went south. Like we're talking, we ran into difficulties with the electrician, and then like the rigging plan didn't go as we wanted it to. And then, yeah, Monday and Tuesday were normal days, normal working hours. And then Wednesday to, I think I ended up leaving on Saturday and I had to drive the box truck all the way back to Lexington from, I think it was Virginia or Washington. I can't remember, one of those. And so we ended up working from like 8 till maybe 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. from Wednesday all the way till Friday, just to make sure we completed the whole project, just because things just went south.
Yeah.
And we were working in a high security place. It wasn't a church, so
Right.
yeah, it made things a little bit more,
Dude.
slower, I guess. But yeah, I vividly remember that week, and I think that was the only bad experience I had, on that caliber. But
Wow.
yeah,
What's a great experience you had on the road at House Right? What
great
comes to mind?
experience. Um, I think
You can name
pro
names on this one, I guess.
yeah,
Name's Gerson.
probably two. I'll give you a two-part, I guess. One of my favorites was going to San Diego. We finished our project early, so we had an extra day just to go check it out. I've never been to the West Coast up until that point. So that was fun to check out. Second part was a church out in Omaha. I got to um, sort of sit with the people commissioning that week, and I just happened to be there at the board, and some of the volunteers came over and were just like, hey, how do some of these things work? And I got to nerd out a little bit and show them how some of the things on the board work,
So
and I really enjoyed that.
that's so cool. Um, so it is this weird for us anyway. It's the only resident. We're on number 14 there or something. But it's the only place where we have that kind of relationship where you've got somebody embedded in an organization, but then they're also a couple weeks a month over at this church. When you started the residency, how clear were you on where you thought it would wind up versus where it went? Did you think I'm here and then I'm going to be leaving to go on somewhere else, or did you think no, I could see myself either at House Right or at Crossroads where they had you? When did that come into focus for you?
Probably, gosh, somewhere in between like 6 months to a year.
Okay.
Just because like uh, the first 6 months it was just drinking from a fire hose, like from the house right side and also Crossroads, just learning all the things. But then after 6 months to a year, um, I kind of was like, man, I really am loving what I'm doing. I love learning on the road. I love the traveling piece, but I also love the stability of, when I'm home here at Crossroads, kind of that routine and schedule. So I kind of left both of those things up in the air a little bit. But then it was after a year when I realized, man, I really do enjoy the creativity aspect of production. And that's when I really wanted to do audio. I didn't know what that looked like because at the time, I don't think there was like a position open or anything like that. But the times that I was able to kind of mix or just, you know, do something on the console, I was like, man, this is what I really want to do. But in terms of did I know where things would end up? I didn't, but what I did know was is that I was going to be very intentional about the time that I had here, because in my mind I was like, I don't know when the next time
Yeah.
um, is of when I'm gonna be able to mess with these very expensive consoles
Yeah.
and equipment
Yeah.
and travel and talk to these people that know a whole lot
Yeah.
about production. I didn't know when the next time was. So coming into the residency, I was very like laser focused on asking the questions, you know, asking, this and that. What I really want to know is this, like, how does this work? And I
Mhm.
was always intentional about that. I didn't kind of take a step back and just let it happen to me. I was very much like, okay, I want to learn all of these things before I leave because I don't know what's going to happen after this. So,
That's
um,
great.
yeah.
Do you lead volunteers?
Uh, at the moment, not as much as I did when I was at
Well, of course.
the church in New England.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but right now, not really. Like our production team is split up into video, lighting, and audio, and
Mhm.
each kind of discipline has their own volunteers. I only have just a couple of volunteers, and they're actually house right guys, so that
That's
it
not
just worked out
fair.
that way.
That's
Yeah.
not fair.
Yeah. So yeah.
What do volunteers do they mix front of house for you, or are they like the A2 running back and forth to platform, chasing down problems? What's a volunteer? What's an audio volunteer at Crossroads Lexington do?
Both.
Okay.
There are times where sometimes they'll hop in to troubleshoot something on stage or whatever, or just run front of house.
Yeah. Okay, here's a crazy question. It's not a trick question. Are you in ministry?
I would say yes, I am in
Okay.
ministry.
You know why I asked that though? Because the first from 18 to 28, if we just showed a highlight reel, we'd be like, oh, that guy's in ministry. Went to some weird Bible college, wound up doing half a dozen different jobs at a church of a couple of hundred or whatever in New England. You were youth guy, you were teaching kids, you were teaching students, you were doing playing music. That's in ministry. And now we show a highlight reel of your last 8 weeks and you look like you're in the entertainment business. If we showed pictures of it,
Mm.
it's incredible. But you're still in ministry. How does Gerson draw that line between, yeah, it might look like I just came off a tour bus and I'm in some venue somewhere, but I'm not. I'm doing ministry. How do you define that for where you are?
Well, definitely helping amplify the good news, right? Is whatever the teacher is teaching, it's making sure everybody hears, whether in the community, online, or whatever, out in the atrium. I would think that's ministry. And also the people side of it, right? Is, how are we caring about people outside of either working hours or, just rehearsal times? And not only that, but um, every morning we have staff prayer at 9, and
Mm.
that's where we can help minister to other people. Hey, how can we pray for each other? What's going on in your life? What's happening here? And not only that, but the conversations that are had in the hallway too. People may not believe, but
Sure.
they turn into like people just expressing what they're feeling, maybe a hardship, maybe um, just personal things. And right there is a good opportunity to minister to
Yeah.
people and to meet the needs of people that may not be able to, I don't know, provide. But I would say, in that aspect, sure, it may look like, lights and all that stuff, but, I think for people to hear the good news, that's a pretty important aspect to me.
Yeah. You know, Matt McKay, the owner of House Right, got his start in the building that you're in. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I first met him. This is the good part of getting old, Gerson. You start to see in the long story, the thread of God's faithfulness and how he weaves this stuff together, right? But 30 years ago, I met Matt McKay. He was a volunteer building part of the building, the first phase of the building that you were in. He was volunteering for another friend of mine who was the technical director. I was with both of these guys this week in meetings. And then Matt would come out to Vegas where I was on staff at a church and we just struck this friendship up. And full circle, when the next phase of that building was built, I was living in Lexington. I was Matt McKay. We were laughing about this week.
Oh, wow.
I went over and helped Matt pull cable as a volunteer to the old front of house position. And then I think on a Saturday afternoon, he called me in a frantic moment looking for a camera operator. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. This can't be hard. And I had never touched a camera in my life. And so I think running a camera is sort of like doing the laundry. If you screw it up, they only ask you once. So I think that was why one time to run a camera. But then you just see where this thing all went and what God has done through Matt and he's done through now. I think there were 85 people at the staff meeting that I was at from all over the country and the hundreds of projects, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of churches that they've had an impact in. It's pretty crazy. You're just one more step in that. That's what's cool. I love the fact, man, that the first names you mentioned were the previous residents. That like who are the people at Crossroads that made the biggest
Oh
difference?
yeah.
And you think about it was the guys that they're just like a lap ahead of you. That's all it is.
Mm.
It's pretty cool. What's
Yeah,
what's
it's
the
pretty
big
great.
thing coming up for you? What's on the horizon?
Here at Crossroads,
Yeah, whatever. However you want to answer that.
well, we have Easter coming up, and that's always a good time. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
It's always a
So
good time.
yeah,
You got something big planned?
um, I do have I get to go see family at
Oh,
some point in the fall. So I know it's a long time between now and then, but that's
yes.
going home is something I always look forward to.
Yeah, sure.
It's always something that you know, uh, rough moments. It's kind of like, oh, great,
Yeah,
I can
right.
see when I'm going to go see family
Right.
in the future. So
Right.
yeah.
Um, where do you think from New England family pastor to resident to audio director, where's it heading for you? Where's it going?
That's a good question. I think I'm I'm really enjoying the audio aspect of things. I think if I can, um, whether it's still being here or whether it's doing things with, House Right on the side or whatever that can look like, I think pouring into people I would love to do some more of that
Hmm.
myself and
Hmm.
investing in people and just giving back everything that these guys have taught me, everything that I've learned here, and just go equip people, hopefully to inject some of that, you know, knowledge that I craved when I didn't know anything. And I wish
Yeah.
someone could have just stopped by my church or showed me something like really cool or whatever. Um, because that will always mean a lot to me because
Yeah.
I realize the kind of hunger that I had, but I didn't know where to get it. And then now being on this other side, if I can, you know, do that for other people, I think
Yeah.
I would love to see more of that in the
For
future.
sure. Someone's walking the halls there. I'm convinced, Gerson. It could be the next Matt McKay. Some engineer from Lexmark or Toyota walking the halls, looking for an opportunity to serve, just needs to be tapped and called out. You never know, man. When I met Matt, yeah, he was an engineer at Lexmark, putting his hands on a probably an analog console back in those days, way back when, and just trying to figure stuff out and wanted an opportunity to serve. Was a young dad in those days, and the guy that tapped him and gave him an opportunity still doesn't. I was going to say he wasn't nearly as talented and as educated as you are, but and not even close. And he would agree if he was on this call. And so you just never know what's around you. So the impact, like who has the greater impact, Matt or Bart, the guy that tapped him and gave him an opportunity? Because
Mm,
without that, he would have been parking cars, working in the
mm,
nursery. Who knows what he would have done? He would have done something at his church. But instead, Bart was like, I think you could do this. I think you can do this on your own. In fact, I don't even have to be here and you could do this. And then he went from volunteer to super volunteer to underpaid with a big pay cut tech director to eventually building buildings and then taking this path that has led to this impact. That's incredible. But who tapped Matt? That's interesting, isn't it? Like if Bart
Yeah.
had not tapped him, where would it have gone? What would have happened? So you get a piece of carrying that forward, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.